Dr. CB.
Yo,
What up?
what's happening?
Not much. Looking forward to today.
I believe that. Before we jump in today, I just want to say thanks for holding the door for me earlier.
Always
Yeah.
and every time. Because out of the two of us, I'm the one that has stronger arms to hold the door.
Yeah, we established that in our last episode with your big spaghetti arms. Those
Big
BSAs.
spaghetti arms.
Yeah.
Speaking of the last episode, so we dipped into addressing the altered traits, the effects of meditation.
Yeah.
In particular, and consistent meditation. That with consistent meditation over time, tapping into that space can improve your ability to selectively attune to things, can decrease the noise from the default mode network or just those primal drives that kind of bounce you around, and help with emotion regulation.
Blammo.
Yeah. So how's your meditation and your default mode network been?
Default mode network is nice.
Yeah.
Real nice. Meditation is also nice. Needing a little tune-up, though.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to today.
So your default mode network being nice means that it's running high or running low?
It's running smooth. An appropriate amount of noise.
Oh,
Yeah.
the perfectly appropriate amount.
Yeah, it's real nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And since we're a couple of jackalopes, we actually have an expert here with us today. That's why I'm so excited. So we have Lotus McClatchie here with us today, joining us, who has been long involved with mindfulness meditation in particular. So thank you for joining us, Lotus.
Absolutely. Yes, it's such an honor to be here. And I'm excited because this is my all-time favorite subject and thing to talk about. So it's really perfect. And then to get to do it with you guys as well.
Yeah.
It was really fun for me.
Cool.
I think you can tell, but Lotus is incredibly kind and patient.
Yeah, I was going to
She's
say,
willing
and
to-
generous.
Yeah,
Very generous.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here. We're so glad to have you. And then, we were touching base just before we started recording, and you had mentioned bringing cards with you. And I wondered if you just explain a little bit about that and how you've been using those recently.
Yeah. So I believe that there's a host of different tools that we have at our disposal to help us in this life. And, for everything that we need, there's something there that can just kind of bring us along a little bit. And so cards are like that for me. So some people call them oracle cards or angel decks. And this particular one I brought with me, they're called inquiry cards. And what I love about them is they have less of the frou-frou spiritual thing to it. And they just really reach into your soul and help you reflect on something. And so I thought it would be kind of a cool thing for us to start today with pulling a card. And
So do we all pull one separately? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, you pull your own. And what I actually recommend you do is to bring something into mind that you're focusing on in your life, that you're like, I wonder what would help me with this. And then you'll receive a question to ponder that'll hopefully bring you some insight.
Okay. I'm a little nervous because last time I revealed that one of my mantras for 2024 is suppress to success.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's doing it really well. It's going really well.
Okay.
So when you mentioned have something in mind, Dan's word was suppress.
Suppress. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll grab one here.
Yeah, get in there.
Going straight from the middle of the deck. Should we all pick one and then read them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that? Yeah. All right, Dan, what'd you get?
This question actually it's making it really hard to suppress.
Openness and vulnerability are kind of like Dan's go-tos. I'd say.
Strong suits.
The strong points.
My strengths. Yeah. It's what do I really want? Yeah. So that's there.
That's a good question.
Good question.
Good question.
All right.
Very
What
deck.
questions did you all get?
Do you want to share like what comes up for you?
It's a powerful question, and it's an intimidating question for me. And it's been a real growth phase in my life for about 10 months. And I did not realize there was a lot going on in my life that I actually had suppressed, joking aside. And so I had become unaware of what my own personal preferences are and how to show up, both being aware of those and asserting those in a way that's fair, not asserting them in an aggressive way to demand them, but just being aware of what they are and asserting them. And so this question touches on like a 10-month thing, and that's the thing that was kind of in my mind. And it's hard to answer with more specificity because it does feel really personal, but it honestly, I have an awareness of what I want now different than I had 10 months ago that feels so clarifying and helpful. So it touches on something that feels like a long process of reflection and work.
Wow. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Cody?
I think Lotus has got a lot of follow-up questions.
Yeah, a lot of
You
follow-up
just
questions.
see 'em.
I could see him churning.
Yeah.
And what I love,
Yeah.
again, that patience, kindness, and generosity, because she can see me avoiding eye contact, just like that kindergarten kid
Yeah.
that doesn't know the answer to 2 + 2, just averting eye contact with the teacher. Thank you, Lotus.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And she willingly shifted. Yeah.
She did.
It's very kind. My question says, what is true for me? And so, yeah, these kinds of questions are really hard for me. I'll probably have the answer to this like tomorrow. I think what comes up for me is lately, I'm going to try to tie this into some of our old episodes too, but when we were covering mindfulness, we talked about non-striving as one of the attitudes or general principles of mindfulness. And I think naturally I'm a striver. And so things often don't feel good enough for where I'd want them to be. And inspiration is like a variable in there. And when I don't feel inspired by something, I feel like it's not good enough. Like, how do we change this? That sort of thing. And I can very easily dip into a place of like, screw it. Just let it do its thing. Who cares? And so I think of like, what is true for me is that thinking back of the time, I'm going to relate this particularly to maybe like our show and Beyond the Pines and that sort of thing, is that like what we have done is good enough as it is. And it is as it is in a way also. And so I think just learning to be maybe okay with that. That can feel true.
Let's hit him with the follow-up questions.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Pepper.
Well, I was just curious if you could say more about that.
I think I said it all.
I like how you leaned into the mic. It's as if you're going to convince the microphone. I think I said it all.
I think I said it all. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate what you had said about how, you may have a different answer in 24 hours, because that's what I really love about these cards is the question sits with you all day and it just kind of comes into your consciousness throughout the day. And then, oh yeah, there's something else that's true for me. Or maybe it's in an interaction in the moment and you're asking yourself, like, how do I want to approach this? Or, what's most important to me, or what do I want? And it plays out in your day-to-day experience. And my card is, what are my boundaries? Which is a really powerful question for me. And I love that what's coming up for me in this moment is related to one of the things that I'm really working on in my life right now, which is the awareness that everything is energy. We are all energy, and we have a responsibility and the privilege of being able to regulate our own energy as we cultivate the skills and learn how to do so. And so for me, one of those ways that I help myself just try to stay in a place where I'm feeling pretty good and pretty happy, granted, knowing that life always comes and I'm going to feel other things, that what I need to do is actually set boundaries and be aware about who I'm engaging with, when we're doing that, and really just be more precise with how I choose to spend my time. And in doing so, then I'm cultivating a much more clear and just in alignment presence for myself and in the world. And it feels amazing. So boundaries used to be a heavier subject for me, and I'm sure that'll come back around. But right now it just feels like, it's actually just being able to say yes sometimes, and sometimes saying no, thank you. And then that's okay. And it's actually skillful. So.
Voila.
Yeah.
Reflections, summaries, further questions, probing questions, open-ended questions.
My mind's stuck on its internal process.
Dan got stuck in his question. He might be gone for the day. Yeah. I was going to mention just real quick, the thing that you drew there about boundaries is something that you've even talked with about us earlier and have been practicing, even just when you're speaking about time and that sort of thing today. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just realized, I really want to show up as my best self, quote unquote, and so for me, that is just really having the presence of mind in my moment-to-moment experience and trying to meet that experience in a way that's wise and loving. And meditation and mindfulness are really the tools that helped me get to where I am today to be able to live this way. So I'm just so grateful that they came into my life.
Well, and that's where, like, these questions for me, they demonstrate, like, mindfulness, mindful awareness, right? And then I often think of meditation as, like, that practice of kind of a more refined, hyper mindfulness, like a direct awareness, and sometimes directed by a practice. So, I had mentioned to you we were going to be talking about this topic, and I wondered if you'd be willing to share any anecdotes where you've observed change in yourself or change in others that has resulted from a consistent meditation practice or that hyper mindful awareness.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that we would talk about that today and asked if I had stories, because it was just so fun when you open up the memory gates and just to see what comes. And, I've been doing this for a really long time. And once I fell in love with the practice, I started sharing it with every single client that I worked with. And so, I mean, it's just like hundreds of stories of how this has impacted people's lives. And it's just so beautiful, to know that. And for myself in my own practice, mindfulness and meditation really helped me to get honest with myself. I spent most of my life as a professional avoider. And I was really good at it. Yes, exactly.
But turns out not success.
Yeah. And I was pretty good at it. I looked good. Everybody was just like, wow, Michelle's so happy and she's got such a great life. And that's because I was a master at pretending that everything was okay. And in fact, like what I would do is suppress. And then I would go out and do the things that excite me. Like I go rock climbing every weekend and mountain biking and camping and be in nature. And so I would get filled up and feel good until the reality of the rest of my life was right there. And so when I started to meditate and to study the teachings of the Buddha in the Theravada Buddhist tradition, which is really also known as insight meditation, that is when I began to lose my capacity to hide and pretend that everything was okay. And so in doing so, I had some reckoning to do and some changes to make. But it also was the path to freedom for me. It really was. It all begins with awareness and being willing to know thyself. And so it's a powerful transformational journey and so worth every little bit of it. And so, one of the things that I love about meditation is to be able to become the observer of your experience and not just immersed in it and believing that everything we think is true. And what a powerful realization that is. It's like, oh, these thoughts are happening and they're going by, but I don't have to necessarily jump on that train. And then we have choice, And so when I think about what I've received and people I've worked with have realized, it's that moment of like, wow, I actually have agency in my life and I can choose something different. And I'm not a victim of my circumstances. I actually can create something new. Or at least I have a way to survive this runaway train that I've been on for a really long time. So, one of the stories that came up for me was about this nurse that I was working with, and she was up at the hospital in one of those really tense, high-demand jobs where you need to be on it your entire shift. And it's just like, life or death decisions and lots of responsibilities, lots of details. And she had so much stress and anxiety that she's like, I need to go get help, And then on top of that, personal life at home, her relationship and other things that were really challenging. And I actually tried to teach her meditation and some practices to help her in that day-to-day workplace environment. And she was like, I don't have time for that. Like, I can't stop and pause and take a deep breath. I have to keep going. And so we just found this one little moment in her day where she could get exquisitely mindful. And it was when she would go get a drink of water. I was like, I know you have to go to the bathroom and I know you need to drink water.
Yeah.
Let's tap into that. And so she would just give herself the gift of saying, okay, I'm not going to think about one thing except what it's like to drink this water in this moment. And in doing so, and just putting all of her attention into that experience, her blood pressure would go down, her heart rate would go down, she would find her breath, and she would just get just enough of a reprieve to step back into her work with a feeling of a lighter heart and more well-being. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes this practice is just like that. It's just like little sprinkles of little moments, but they're like cracking open the door of possibilities, and it becomes so inviting. Like, it's just like, oh my gosh, why wouldn't I want to do more of that? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's really like the pathway in for a lot of people. It's finding those little mindful moments, and being drawn in that way.
Yeah, one of the things Cody addressed in that other episode is level 1 through 5 is defined by Goleman and Ritchie. And so like you're describing like a level 5, and anything that provides any relief is a benefit. So it's different than Theravada, a deep insight-oriented meditation sitting, but still provides a relief or a benefit, and consistently doing that affects change. You used, I don't know if you'd be willing to go more into this, but when you were sharing about your own personal lived experience over time and the awareness you came to for yourself quite a while ago, you used the word freedom. You kind of alluded to that the path wasn't easy. It led to changes in your life that maybe created some degree of discomfort, but you also used the word freedom. What did you mean by going through that process, creating freedom?
Yeah, what a great question. Freedom to me is, it's kind of like the ultimate in our lifetime. And it's connected to authenticity and truth, and really being able to learn what that is for ourselves. And no one can tell you what your truth is. You have to go inside and really be with yourself in order to understand that. And also learn how to be open. And so much of the time we have all these masks on, and we're living behind these walls of ideas of who I think other people want me to be. And there's a falseness in the way that we do life. And it's painful when we live that way. It's going back to the suppression piece. It's such a apropos word. I don't recommend it.
A powerful mantra. I think what you mean to say is that's a very powerful mantra.
And wise. Powerful and wise.
Yeah, it'll definitely keep you the same.
If your goal is to be the same, you are doing well.
Yeah.
But the freedom is actually, it is change. It's embracing change and realizing that change is actually an ally for us, and being able to like welcome it, which, I mean, one of the only constants in life is that everything changes. And if we can just say, okay, I can accept that, I can surrender to this experience, and I can bring curiosity to what's happening and unfolding in front of me, then, the world is our oyster. There's so much available to us when we are able to say yes rather than no. And those are all elements of this process that begin to unfold as you learn to be able to sit in silence, and you learn how to be really present in your life.
It's so neat to hear when you were describing awareness earlier, and coming to an awareness, and then a product of that is also the ability to have choice. And I guess I was wondering if you could speak more to that, and how do you develop that awareness?
Yeah. So this is one of the things that I do. Your listeners can't see me right now, but I close my eyes and I pause. And it's a way to allow myself to get to ground into the moment and to give an answer that really resonates with my heart. And my dream is that the rest of the world can start to do this too. Like, it's actually okay to just take a moment and check in. And it does actually be the pathway to awareness, right? So in this moment, like, I can feel, my sit bones on the couch. I'm tuned into my heart. I'm tuned into my breath. I can feel like a little nervousness of being in this moment. And so that lets me like check in with myself. And then from that place of knowing how I'm doing, what I'm feeling as well as what I'm thinking, then I have the possibility of being able to choose option A, option B, option C of how I want to respond in this moment. But most of the time, like you were mentioning the default network, most of the time we're running in a place where we're not here. Like we're thinking about what's coming next and in the future or what happened yesterday. And so our bodies might be here, but the mind is someplace else. And so to be able to bring all of that into one place at one time, that's where all of our power is. And so then we can really meet our life fully, with full presence, full awareness, full connection to our heart and our soul of what we believe to be true and meaningful.
Yeah. I don't think this could be known, but I'd almost wonder how you would answer that question had you not checked in with yourself, right? And that might be the default mode network and just responding or reacting to whatever's coming up.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Another question I had was you were talking about becoming an observer of your experience and how that's one of your favorite parts of the process of meditation. And I was wondering, how do you teach that to people? And do you use any particular like visual metaphors or anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. So initially, I think one of the most important things is for people just to be able to anchor into the moment. So the body is the pathway to do that. So just being able to feel where your hands are resting in your lap, or right now you guys can feel the soles of your feet where they're we're meeting the floor, and where your butt is on the cushion, finding your breath. Like, what's my breath like in this moment? Like most of the time we just don't know, but you start tuning into those cues and those messages, and our body will tell us everything that we need to know. But most people are walking around as like headless bodies. Like we're just so caught up in our minds. That's all we do is we think. And so the first step is really coming into the body. And then from that place, then we can start to observe other aspects of our experience. Like, what are the thoughts that are going through my mind right now? Is there a pattern in those thoughts? Are they going fast? Are they going slow? Are they pressured? Is it relaxed or calm? Can I identify maybe if there's a feeling that goes with these thoughts and make the connection that my thoughts affect how I feel? And so those are some ways that people can begin to tease it out. And then another teaching with this meditation practice is also being able to use what's called labeling or noting as a way of describing that which they observe. So rather than getting lost in the story, for instance, I have a series of meetings and groups and places I want to be. And so the thoughts in my mind would be, oh my gosh, I hope I'm not late. I have a pattern of being late. What are they going to think of me? I don't want to let anybody down. How am I going to make it work? And there's this feeling of pressure that comes with it. But from this practice standpoint, I can observe, worry. There's a pattern of worry. There's a pattern of planning. And I feel some anxiety or fear in my body. And then that's where you have the choice, right? It's like, do I keep going down that train of thinking and continue to perpetuate this feeling of fear and unease inside of myself? Or do I find a way to bring the kindness and compassion into my moment-to-moment experience? Or maybe humor. You guys are pros at the humor. It's also a kindness.
Deflecting.
Good at silly stuff. Good at stupid stuff, I think.
Stupid. Oh, yeah. Gas.
Right?
Stupid stuff.
We use humor, yeah.
I love that.
Not good, but we use a lot of it, yeah.
Not good humor.
Not good humor.
Just humor.
Just a lot of humor, yeah. What you're describing sounds so attuned and connected to self, your experience.
Yeah. And so the next piece would be, I notice this train of thinking. I notice the fear in my body. What is the kind response? And so one of the things where I really needed to step away from cognitive behavioral therapy is the recognition that you can't just put a replacement thought in the place of the one that's creating the fear and have it land and sound truthful. You know, like you could say, oh, it's no big deal. You got it. You're going to do great, and say all these encouraging things. But if the body is still constricted, the body's not going to believe it. And it's going to sound like BS, you know? And so then people are like, it's just not working. This positive thinking is not working. And it's like, well, yeah, because we have to come into the body and actually calm the nervous system, put a hand on our heart, find a way to release the fear. And then we can step into another idea or another way of viewing our experience.
Yeah. And you're alluding to like another theoretical orientation and practice in terms of the mindful self-compassion and some of the literal components of it with touch and self-touch and then awareness of what you're thinking of yourself, different than thought replacement or something like that. Yeah. I was hopeful, though. You articulated so well the process of becoming aware. And even I think what's helpful is for you to just directly state one of the easiest ways to begin that first step is actually to be attuned to your body, to get out of just your thinking. And I wondered if you would be willing to lead Cody and I in a meditation practice here. Would you be up for that?
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really appreciate this opportunity and this moment, because this really is one of my favorite things to do, and I love the idea that other people will receive this as well. And one of the things about Flagstaff and being here is I lived here for 30 years, and I have such a soft spot for this community, and even to, like, you guys in a way represent the athletes.
Oh, wow. Oh, you have a distorted
I'm sure this
view.
is going to bring something up here, but my outdoor adventure friends, you know, because I remember back in the day as a climber, that was the thing, right? That would help me always be happy. It was just such a sweet and precious way to get to live immersed in nature. And yet when I got injured, then life was a lot harder to deal with. And so that's one of the things I think about this practice being beneficial for some of the folks here who might be listening to your show. It's just like, okay, yeah, how do I find happiness and well-being and calm my mind and open my heart when I don't have that thing that I usually turn to? And so this is just the most amazing thing, because it's free. Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it, really. And it just takes finding the right rhythm for yourself.
Yeah.
So.
You going to say something?
No, I was just laughing at the athletes part.
Yeah. Because, it's a funny comment because I'm obviously an athlete.
Yeah.
But, to lump you in
to that category.
Yeah, it makes it funny.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes it funny.
You guys are blushing. It's good.
Yeah. Well, I just think if anyone had like a GoPro and was just kind of a fly on the wall and was able to watch us at the gym.
Athlete would be the last word.
Athlete wouldn't be the word.
That guy looks like he's suppressing to success.
Suppress to success.
I do think
nice spaghetti arms.
In all seriousness, though, what you reference, I think, is a phenomenon here that can be. Sometimes I think of my physical activity and specifically outdoor as like a cheat code to mindfulness. And there have been times where I'm like, what if I was injured, or what if something happened that I wasn't able to do these things? How would I? It's like a cheat code. And I think there are pros and cons to that. Like, I don't think that's inherently a good thing or a bad thing.
Right.
It is a thing. But it would make me, when you spoke to becoming injured, I was like, oh yeah, the rubber would really hit the road. Like, I'd have to learn how to be mindful and attuned without that cheat code.
Yeah, and you're reminding me of one of the cheat codes that I use, and that's like the tone of voice. Because the words "what if," they typically are the prelude to something scary, or something wrong. But they can also be like, well, what if I get to learn how to be mindful without running? And it's a world of possibilities. So how we speak to ourselves really does matter. And we get to choose that. So we have the awareness of like, oh, there's that judging, critical, mean voice in my head. Okay, I'm used to hearing that one. Let me just see if I can find another way. So
The tone.
tone.
Yeah, that's curiosity.
Cheat code.
Cheat code, yeah. I think it's a great setup in that way. Yeah.
Well, so we can go ahead and drop in if y'all feel ready. And one of the first things that I really like to do is just invite people to initially find a place where you're going to be comfortable and relaxed. And actually keep your eyes open initially and just look around. And notice what you can see almost with a beginner's mind. So you notice color and shape and texture, lighting, movement. And you can also confirm that there's no lions or tigers in the room, that you're safe, and that it's okay to close your eyes. You can also always leave them open, just gently resting on a spot on the floor in front of you as well. And just initially noticing what your landscape looks like with your eyes closed. Tuning into your body. And what I like to do is actually practice with a hand on my heart. And just feel the pressure of my hand, the warmth, and recognize that this is a symbol that's communicating that you actually care about your experience, care how you're doing. And so what we're doing right now is we're opening ourselves to our own loving awareness. We're bringing curiosity to how we feel and what's happening, giving our minds a chance to take a break, letting the thoughts fade into the background, and realizing it's okay to continue to think. That's normal, and that's what the mind does. So all we're doing in this moment is initially letting ourselves arrive in the present moment. Offering a thank you for what's happened before, earlier in the day, in the past. And knowing that whatever is to come in the future, it will arrive. But all we need to do in this moment is to be here. Noticing the sensations of the body. So you might feel your sit bones in the chair. Or notice where your hands are positioned, what they're touching. Notice that you're sitting up or perhaps laying down, whatever posture you're in. Continuing to feel that hand on the heart. And finding our way to the breath. And just asking, what is my breath like in this moment? Is it fast or slow? Deep or shallow? And what's beautiful about this practice is that we learn not to judge our experience, to not make anything wrong. We just notice it with loving, caring eyes. You might notice if you have a feeling that's coming up, impatience or frustration, sadness. Or perhaps you're thinking about something. And so you can just take a quick glance of what the mind is caught on in this moment. As we return now back to the breath. And we can welcome in the elements of kindness and compassion in this moment. Recognizing that many of us carry tension and stress, we can welcome in a sense of relaxation. So just saying that word to yourself in this moment, relaxation, as you allow your shoulders to drop down from your ears. As you allow your jaw to relax, perhaps by placing the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth. And then we can take a long, slow, deep breath, which is an exquisite act of kindness for many of us. Breathing in through the nose and filling your belly, filling your chest, and when you're ready, exhaling with a long, slow sigh. And then just noticing what might be different now from that one breath. And now we'll take 2 more deep breaths just like that before settling into the moment. So once again, breathing in nice and deep, welcoming a sense of relaxation and calm. And really let that breath be deep, filling your chest and lungs before releasing that with another long, slow sigh. Letting go of tension, stress, fears. Once again, pausing and noticing what that feels like. And what we're doing in this moment is we're calming the body while still allowing whatever you're feeling to exist. So we're not trying to make anything go away. We're merely creating the template for the natural release that the body desires. And before we take this breath, I would encourage you to open your consciousness to notice your whole body all at once, from head to toe. And if there's any places that have become tight, you might let them soften. Perhaps it's your legs poised and ready to go somewhere, so you can let them fall away from each other. Or you might notice your hands gripping. So just let them be soft as we take this last deep breath You're welcome to make this the deepest breath of the day. Breathing in through the nose. And pausing at the very top of this breath if you can, and taking one more sip of air in. And pausing there before releasing with a sigh. And you're welcome to just notice what it feels like in this moment. What it feels like to be right here, right now. Feeling that hand on your heart. And if it feels authentic and true, perhaps offering yourself a message of kindness. Good job choosing to do this practice. You could have done anything else in this moment. And also you might just take a moment to offer some kind wishes to someone else. And as you do that, you're opening your heart. And the more that you engage in that practice, the more that your heart will open with ease. And one other encouragement is to know that there are people all over the world right now in this moment sending you their loving kindness. So whenever you feel alone or scared, you might just remember that. Take a deep breath, place a hand on your heart, and know that you are connected to a network of people who truly want the best for you. Breathing that in. Letting that breath go. As you begin to move your body, wiggle your fingers and toes, and just enter back into this space. You might allow your eyes to gently open and take another look around your surroundings. And just notice what it's like to have arrived in the present moment. This is probably the first time I've ever seen you guys at a loss for words.
Felt very resistant to opening my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't have our humor to immediately deflect.
Yeah.
Felt good.
Thank you so much, Lotus. Yeah.
Yeah, overall, I'm in that grounded space where I feel different than the baseline I was at starting. And I just want to, tell you thank you. So thank you so much for offering that. And thank you for being here and sharing insight into the process to developing that awareness and the change that can come from that process.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. And yeah, I feel like there's so much more to share, but I love the points that we did get to hit on today. And it's just great to spend time with the two of you. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Take us out by shouting us out.
No doubt. You can always find us on the interwebs. We are at beyondflag.com, flag spelled
FLG.
And you can hit us up on Instagram, beyond_flag.
Take care.
Lovies.